What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming back to Bob's Boys Podcast. Um, Today is Monday, and I wanted to start doing a men's mental health day, kind of like a men's issues kind of thing. So that's pretty much what today's episode is going to be about. Um, so one thing that's been like really just kind of like I've been kind of struggling with is stress. Stress has been rough, and you know, I feel like, especially this month, we are celebrating Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I feel like we kind of get the back burner at times. Thanks for the heart, Mitri. So, yeah, I just feel like sometimes we get the back burner when it comes to mental health issues and the whole stigma of us not sharing our feelings. And if you ask a guy like, hey, are you okay, like, oh, I'm fine. um I feel like I have to be strong for myself, and I don't know where this comes from. I don't know what the stigma is about just being okay for yourself and not wanting to share out your feelings. And like, the troubles that we go through silently could drive us nuts. um a lot of reasons why I want to start off with stress is because I ended up losing a friend to himself, and that was the first time that's ever happened for me, and it completely broke me because I was just talking to him, and I always felt like, what could I have done? And I stressed internally about it, and I felt like I was past it. To me, when it comes to death, it's completely different. I feel not a numbness to it, but an indifference, I guess. It does hit hard. It does. Trust me. I'm not a stone cold statue, but I do kind of like work on things myself. So I mean, like, if you are stressed and you're a guy, you're not the only one that's going through the "I'm fine." It's a guy answer. We all know it. The "I'm fine." I'm fine. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm fine with dealing with it, or I'm fine with, this is okay because I can go through it. I will go through it, and that's just life. Life throws you a curveball, and you just gotta learn how to hit it, in a sense. Um, that's what I do with stress, and I have my outbursts, and it frustrates me, and I have my days where I kind of don't want to be around anyone because I'm stressed out, and I just feel like sometimes feelings don't matter. I've been in multiple situations where um, I felt like I couldn't speak my mind, and you know, I just feel this stigma of, you have to be strong for everybody else. You know, you're okay. Be tough. This, that, and the third, and it gets to you after a while. Like, being that rock that's constantly hit by the shore. You know, it it may not look like it. It may not you know, happen right away, like, but just slowly it erodes and erodes and erodes till you're nothing. And for anybody that's struggling out there, I hope you're okay. And there is someone that you can share your feelings with or how you're feeling no matter what. Even me as a complete stranger to some people, my door is always open. Not right now, it's closed, but you know what I mean. The door is always open to anybody that just needs to vent out and deal with their stress in their own way. Um, because the struggles are there, you know, being just this speed like this. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like it's hard. It's hard being acting like you have this, that you're the shield in a sense. Thanks, Muffin Man. Just it's it's hard acting like that all the time, and sometimes you just want to just throw it all away, and that's it. And then again, like another thing that stresses me out is when people constantly ask me, like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" Like, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Like, how are you? You know, why are you so, I don't know, energetic or happy? Like, why do you seem this way?" And it's just like, I seem that way because why am I gonna walk around this earth miserable when I do have a good life? And yeah, I'm stressful, but things can always get worse. And there's people with more stressful lives out there that I can't even fathom about, you know? So yeah, like, why stress on those things when they're just happening? It's something that's gonna happen to me, so might as well deal with it. That's point blank period what I do personally. And I ramble a lot. I really do. And hopefully I get better at that. But my friend told me all the time what was going on with him, and he explained what was going on all the time, but I didn't know he had those thoughts. So I want that to be normalized personally. I really do, because being a dad, being, you know, a man nowadays is so stressful automatically. And I'm not saying that we have it worse. I'm not saying anything like that. But being a guy in today's society is, to me, overall stressful because of the fact that we need to make sure we don't act a certain way, or do this wrong, or the stigma of, oh, um, they did this because they're an asshole, not because, oh, they're unhappy, or maybe they did it because they wanted to protect themselves. You know what I mean? Though there's so many. There's a double standard for us, and we take and we let it happen, because that's life. And I don't know how many times I'm going to say it during this podcast, but that's what it is. There's nothing we can physically do to change a certain outcome because it's out of our control. You know, like the things that are out of control, it's more of a we try to figure it out. There's actually a cool little study that I saw, that they took infants like enough to crawl, and I think like maybe like 1 year olds or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but they took infants, boys and girls, and took them away from the mother, and they put them they put like this thing in front of them, and they can see their mother, but they need to like they couldn't get to them. And what happened was the girls were fine. They saw the mother, they start crying. While the boys would try to figure out how to get over the wall to their mother. And then the end of that said that it makes a lot of sense because when a problem is put in front of whatever gender, the girls, females, tend to look for outward help, while the boys, the males, tend to do it themselves. They work on the inside out, so to speak. I wish I had an extra thing so I could look it up because like it was phenomenal. Um, Really, it just opened my eyes about what we are as a species, and that's pretty freaking cool that we're wired differently from that internalized. Thank you, Tree. Um, so yeah, we just I feel like we always try to figure out how to fix it and go from there. So if we're stressed out in life, then what's up, Reeves? If we're stressed out in life, I feel like we go and try to fix it without fix it ourselves without help because that's the stigma of being a man. Um, and I don't know who can agree with me. This is all just my opinions, my thoughts, um, and my coping mechanisms that I do with that. So to stress, kind of like give and let go. I guess if that's what I'm trying to say. Who knows? But you know, that's just me on stress. Being stressed out takes a toll on you daily, and I know that. Then don't even get me started on being a father because it is hard out here. Being a father just adds another layer to the stress. Like wondering if you're doing okay. Maybe you were doing too hard. The parent guilt is equal on both sides. But I can only speak from the father side. I don't know what I'm doing at all. And I know nobody knows what they're doing by the time they become a parent or going through their own version of being a parent. But that's stressful. Every day it's stressful because I couldn't live with myself if my kids didn't look up to me. And I get it's you know it's hard to take that stress from the day or all the thoughts that are going on in your head and then having the stressfulness of being a dad added in on that. Sometimes I blow up. I gotten to a point where I'm short, like such a short fuse, um, that I get stressed out about that, and it's it puts this, like, I don't know, like this damper on my mood, which then stresses me out, and it's just a big ball, and I get stuck in like this little rut of I'm always stressed, and then I blow up, I feel better, but then it builds back up. So, you know, um, I just think that if, it, yeah, agree with that, Reeves. It's a lot. It's a lot to internalize. But there's for those of you that may have known, there's this whole thing going around for the men versus bear. Um, this question that ladies are being asked, and what they're saying is, would do you trust a man, like a random man, or a random bear? And they're choosing the bear. Um, and a lot of guys are getting angry about it, and you know, I don't understand why they're getting so angry about it, because like, and one thing that you guys are going to learn from me, I'm not very one-sided. I used to cry doing writing, like trying to do the persuasive essays in school. I can't pick a side because I see the good and the bad in each side. So I'm a little more than neutral, more or less. And I don't see why people are getting so mad about that decision, because I see what the women are saying, but then again, I feel like it's also getting blown out of proportion. With that in mind, there was a guy's argument to kind of retaliate the man versus bear argument. And that argument was, would you rather tell your feelings to a tree or to a woman? And, you know, a lot of guys, and they might be just spiteful for the bear versus man versus bear question, but a lot of guys are saying tree. And their excuse is that they're not going to use the feelings. The tree isn't going to use what we say to them as ammo to shoot back at us. And like the stress of already holding that all in, then opening it up to somebody just for it to get thrown back in your face completely just annihilates that openness that men have. And I saw another thing where this guy was talking. He said that if a man opens up to you and you use that as ammo, this is a whole nother thing that I saw, but if you use that as ammo, he's never going to open up to you again. He's going to shut that door and it's never going to open up again. And I felt that. Like, I felt that so much. And I was very, very open a long time ago. And I'm still pretty open with my past and like what's going on up here, which I'm crazy, but um, I've gotten hurt because it's just been thrown back in my face from somebody. Um, and been made I felt like my feelings didn't matter for a very long time, and uh, I remember this one time I had the like just most frustrating morning, and what happened is that I went. It was a cold morning. I went out to my bus and I'm waiting for my bus, and all of a sudden my aunt came up. She was coming back from getting coffee or whatever, and she saw me and she's like, "Hey, I got you a hot cocoa." And I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." So I grabbed it, and I was like, "Are you busy right now? Um, is it okay if I get a ride to school real quick?" No, this less than 10 minutes away. It would probably taken 10 minutes altogether to bring me close to the school, drop me off. I'll walk the rest of the way to the door. Um, and she's like, "No, no, I gotta go help. You know, her girlfriend at the time, get stuff ready, whatever." So I was like, "Oh, all right, whatever." And I was already kind of upset because I felt like I was kind of thrown in the kind of like thrown on the back burner for that, and I've always felt like that. So I'm just sitting there, and then um, it was too hot, so I took the cover off the hot cocoa, and I went to go blow, and I slipped and spilled half the cocoa all over myself, all over my jacket, and I was pissed. I threw the cocoa down. I walked back down the street to my house. Um, and as soon as I got back to my house, my bus came right to the bus stop. I saw it. I said, "Screw that. I'm not going to school like this. I'm all sticky. It smells. If it dries, it's going to smell. I didn't want anything to do with it." So I walk in, and I'm all pissed off. I slam the door. I go into the bathroom. I start washing my hands, and then here she comes over. Like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, I spilled the hot cocoa, blah blah blah. By the time when I came, my bus was running late. By the time I came down here to come wash it off, the bus came, so I missed the bus and blah blah blah. And then she was like, "Oh well, do you want me to bring you to school?" I asked you that. Why is it now that I'm upset is the time that you decide to help me instead of when I asked for your help before? So like I opened up and said like, "Hey, I'm asking for help. I wanna go to school, and I'm just asking for not even a 10-minute ride because I'm cold." And then you only offer because I'm upset. So I was like, "No, it's fine." Like I snapped at her because in true teenage fashion, you always got to snap at the parent. So I snapped at her, and I was like, "No, I'll just walk. Like, whatever. I'm just getting a new sweatshirt." So I ended up walking to school that day. So, like, it just, a lot of things just get thrown kind of like after the fact of me being upset that I had to take a step back and look at it. And that's, man, I lost my train of thought. I'm terrible at this. It's just stress. Just stress. That's what it is. And there's not really much you can do to change the outcome of when it's happening, really. Just gotta live through it. Yeah, pretty much. So, I don't really have much more to say about that. But just know that there's always a reason to be happy. There's always a reason to stress. There's always reasons to not be stressed. There's always a reason to be sad. There's always a reason to feel some way. Sometimes there's things that you can do about it. Sometimes there isn't. But don't let it ruin who you are. Take it, learn from it, push it out. Don't internalize it. A lot of people internalize their stress. Like I said, we guys internalize our stress. We don't talk about our feelings because that's not being a man. You can't do that. It's okay to be open. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel these feelings. And there's just that stigma of if you feel this way, then you're not a man. And I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not a man, I guess. Like, I'm not, like it, and, but are you going to make that someone else's problem, Reeves? Why? Why are you going to stress yourself out to make someone else suffer from what you suffered from? You know what I mean? Like, there's no point. That I try to not let outside things bother me. But I'm fine. I am fine. Because what else am I gonna be? Really? That's how it feels. What else am I gonna be if I'm not fine? Because I couldn't tell you. I'm of course I'm stressed out. Stressed out about bills. I'm stressed out about, my kids being sick, my kids, having a good childhood, my relationship. I'm stressed out about everything. That's life. Life is stressful. Life is super, super stressful. As a man, gotta bury it, Reeves. Apparently we do, but that we got. I feel like we shouldn't have to bury it. Right? I feel like we should be able to, feel what we're feeling and be okay with it, and have others be okay with it because that's how we feel. Because if you turn it around, we have to deal with it because that's how they feel. And it just, like I said, I feel like we get the back burner. Like this month is the perfect example for it. Now, everybody knows that we have Father's Day. You're completely right, Reeves. We have Father's Day this month, okay? And trust me, I get it. The deadbeat dads are. I get it. I have one. I have vowed to myself never to be like that at all. So I get it. So nothing to say about single mothers who have to do everything. I think that is the craziest thing and the hardest thing that you guys have to deal with, especially in being a parent. Those are the hardest working parents, are single parents, especially single mothers. Um, Not saying one is better than the other, but I get is stressful. But with that being said, how many dads, single dads, do you know get a happy Mother's Day? And I like I said, I have no problem. I think that uh, a mom who had to do both because of Debbie dads or losing the male figure, I I sympathize with that fact because it is, you guys did the two jobs being both parents, and I can't imagine that. You know what I mean? But I don't think I've ever seen a post on Mother's Day saying, and to the single fathers that have to do both jobs. So it doesn't frustrate me at all. I don't react to it. It just like makes me think. That's a lot of things in this world that makes me think. That's what things do. I see it, think about it, and that's just how it works. So like yeah, and when I see it, Happy Father's Day, and to the single mothers who had to do both jobs. I never see a Happy Mother's Day into the single fathers that had to do both jobs. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know because like I feel like someone's gonna be mad at me, but I'm just generally curious why I haven't seen something like that. Um, Maybe it's because both I didn't have. Uh, I have a mother, but I don't have my mother to be there, and I don't have my father to be there. So maybe it's just like whatever to me because I'm just at that point where life's gonna happen and I'm just gonna roll with it. That's probably a red flag. But just gotta deal with life how it is. Deal with stress. Deal with it. Don't know if that's because I'm a guy or I just don't know. Really don't. And you know, one day at a time, just breathe, work through it, put out into this world that today's gonna be a good day and just hope for the best. Stress kills. It's a silent killer, actually. You can get so stressed that just something pops in your brain. You get so stressed you have a heart attack, stroke, or you dig that hole yourself. And the stress turns into depression, anxiety, and just one day you just get tired. dude. It is hard. It is super hard. But you're right. We always got stuff going on. And you know what's funny about that is just like you see all these memes. It's just like, oh man, I wonder what he's thinking. And it's always something dumb. Ladies, that's true. That is 100% true. We are dumb. We are just so like if we're telling you that we are thinking about like if you're like, hey, what are you thinking? And we say nothing. It's probably something stupid. Honestly, half the time, Reenie's like, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" I was like, "Nothing," because nothing's going on. It's just observing life. Like a lot of the times, if I'm just staring off into the distance, I'm literally just looking at stuff. I'm looking at it, and I don't know even how to explain that. Like right now, if I'm just sitting here and I'm just looking off, I'm like right now I'm looking off. I'm not even really thinking about the words I'm saying, and I'm thinking about that is a globe, a picture of a globe. And I'm looking at all the details on it. And I'm looking at the zigzag background on the thing. It's nothing. It's nothing. Thank you, Reeves. You're thinking about how they came up with shapes. How did they come up with shapes? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sleep tonight on that, so thanks. Or like my favorite one is what came first, orange the color or orange the fruit? There has to be an answer. There definitely is an answer. Do I know it? No. Will I think about it for an hour? Hell yeah, I will. Man, seriously, sometimes it's just nothing. Sometimes we're just looking and observing the world. It's just. And then sometimes we are in deep thought and we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about what we have to do and everything else. And then we just get so sidetracked with just that idea or we're just focused on nothing that we forget to look and focus on what's in front of us and what we're doing, and we forget things, and that's stress related as well. We just forget things. I don't know. I don't know what else I'm trying to say. I ramble and I ramble and I ramble, and that's just me. So I'm sorry for rambling if that really just feels like I'm hitting the point too many times. I'm stressed out about this podcast. That's another thing I'm stressed out about because I'm constantly thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do what I want to do and help and I don't know, just have a good time. Very true, Reeves. Like an interactive chat podcast pretty much is what it is right now. But like I want to grow. I want to get this out here. I had this idea and I just want to get it out there because I feel like it's important to me and I'm so just have that hyper focused idea in my head and that stresses me out to the point where I just want to stop and go lay down or zone out on a game or just go outside and look up and just wonder about the universe because we're all thinking about this little bubble, this much we're always dealing with, and there's this much that hell, there's as much as this room compared to this much that we don't know because we're just focused on that little bit. I try to believe in myself. I believe that this is going to be a good thing. I believe now that today's the third episode, so again, it's probably going to change up once I start getting different equipment and everything like that, and if I start getting traction with more people and I start getting a small revenue from here, that's all going to get put back into the podcast, and that's what I want to do on the side, because like honestly, like I have a decent job, like doesn't get paid freaking gold bars, but has a good pension, has good benefits, like it's good. It's family oriented to help them, and that's all I care about, really. But I mean, like, how does the stress of needing to be the provider like affect you guys? Because like for me, it sometimes I wish I can go back to not having that responsibility and reevaluating everything. But then I look at, my kids, and I couldn't change them for the world. They're my heart and soul, and I love them more than I love myself. And that's what keeps me going, man. That's really what keeps me going. And that's the truest thing that I can say is when I'm having the worst day of my life, the absolute worst day of my life, and then I look down at a mini me, I just remember why I do it. So it's just think about that. What keeps you going? And is it worth keeping you going? Because if it's not, find something else. Don't just give up. Find something else. Because life is worth it. This crazy thing that we all experience differently together is worth it. It's really it. It's amazing that we have this gift of life, and no matter how stressful it is, we have that so don't give up. Please don't give up, because no matter how much you think that it's not worth it, it is. No matter how stressful it could be, you can work through it. And if you can't work through it, there's ways to help you through it. I'm always a friend. Always. And my door, like I said, is always open. I will be as helpful as I can. life is good. Don't be serious all the time. You come completely right. Don't. Why? Why be serious when you can find the giggles and everything? When you're at your lowest, there's don't say that there's nobody, because you got one right here, and like I said, help you as best I can, because there's no doing it over again. Just enjoy it. No matter the stress, enjoy the stress. Because I enjoy the stress, but kind of hard to explain everything that's going on. But I think that you need to find a way to cope with the stress. And this has been Ramblings with Gonzo. That's pretty much what this all was. It's just ramblings. I'm turning into an old man who rambles on and on and on. And I only do that when I'm talking to myself. So, with that being said, thanks guys for coming to the Bob's Boys podcast. It was a pleasure having you. Stay up, be kind. Don't forget to rewind.